Hello, beautiful soul. Welcome to my channel. My name is Joanna. If this is your first time here, my job is very simple. Not easy, but very simple. I'm basically here to help you remember who you are, where you come from. Maybe not even so much what your purpose is, because that has different. We can talk about purpose in another topic, but essentially, if you're here to remember who you are, I hope you get some useful information from this transmission. Thank you so much for being here. If this resonates with you, I would love for you to share this with a friend or two if you feel they might benefit from this information. And by the way, I don't give you anything you don't already know. I simply transmit what is inside of you already, deep truth. So don't take anything I say as gospel. Don't believe in anything I say, but just feel it with your body, because this frequency is moving through your body. So for those of you who are returning, thank you so much for being here. Without you, I wouldn't do this, and I absolutely love what I do. Today we're going to talk about the 888 portal, which is a very important gateway. But before that, I want to share something with you that's super exciting, because it has been a dream of mine for many, many years to hold my own retreats. And for the first time, I'm holding my own retreat in Peru in early November. So if you are interested, you can just drop me a line at joannathehealer.com, and I will share with you the information. So I'm really super excited about it, because it was actually Spirit who said to me that I will be doing retreats and in Peru, and that was years ago. So super, super excited. All right. Let's talk about this 8-8 portal and why is it so important? Well, it's an amplifier of source frequency. So this 8-8 portal acts as an amplifier and an intensifier of truth, of deeper truth. And I actually asked, what does this mean? What is this gateway about? And what I received is that the Sirian gateway, the 8-8 portal, is connected to Sirian gateway. It is a transmitter or a relay station for coherence, source alignment, unity, and amplification of source codes. So I said, what is a source code? And a source code is essentially a soul's blueprint for truth, unity, and alignment. So this portal energy amplifies of this truth within us. And we're not just feeling it, we are receiving an original instruction of the coherence, of the frequency of wholeness before the distortion sets in. And we humans hold onto a lot of distortions, and we believe that our distortions are who we are. No, we're not. That's not, our distortions are certainly not who we are, though most people, myself included, do identify with our distortions. The problem is that when we identify with our distortions, we begin to believe that we are that distortion. And that is not the case. You are not your distortion. What is a distortion? Distortion is a belief system you hold about yourself that limits your awareness and understanding of who you really are, which is source consciousness having a human body experience. Okay? So, because this portal is so powerful, I wanted to talk about it a little bit and just share with you, what does this potentially mean to all of you? So because it's an amplifier of truth, it not just any truth, but truth that either frees you, empowers you, or truth that limits you and confines you. So during this portal, you might experience things coming up to the surface, like I had one the other day, that are distortions, old belief systems, limiting belief systems, stories, unhealed trauma coming up to the surface. And this portal is encouraging you to look at these distortions, not from the perspective of judgment, but from the perspective that, oh, here's a distortion. Is this still true for you? Because if your distortion is still true for you, then you're going to hold on to your distortion as your truth. And anything that you hold on to as your truth becomes your experience. So for example, if one of your distortions, which is mine, and I feel it's massive, I'm pretty sure most humans have it, it's the distortions that we are not worthy. Okay. I actually just had a moment before I turned on the camera, had to go through my own process of unworthiness that came up for me. And it's such a deep, deep layer. And for the first time, I actually realized I don't know how to feel worthy. I actually realized I don't know how to feel worthy. It's the weirdest thing. And as I was having this realization, a voice kept saying, you are worthy, you are worthy, you are worthy. And as I had these two concepts. One was the unworthiness, which was so much in my body. And then this awareness that I am worthy. But this awareness wasn't embodied yet. So I realized literally a few minutes ago that I still hold on to the layer of unworthiness, which would explain so many things. So that unworthiness is a distortion, okay? You don't have to be worthy to be loved, to be accepted. The whole fucking universe loved you no matter what. You don't have to beg for forgiveness. You don't have to ask for permission. No, the consciousness, some call it God, universe, source, field, loves you unconditionally. And because I've identified with this unworthiness for so long, I don't even know how to be any other way. So that's a learning process. And just having that been shown to me, it was a very powerful realization. Because I know I've had issues with unworthiness and all that stuff. Yes, get it. But to the point where I actually realized, God, I didn't even know how to feel worthy. And I'm actually having a conversation. It's like, okay, what do I do now? And they're saying to me, the very fact that you have realized that you feel this way, but you also know that the opposite is true. If you are at a threshold where you can continue to believe that you are unworthy, or you can let go of that distortion and be the person that you always have been, which is worthy, lovable, valuable, etc., etc., etc. Okay? So this portal is amplifying that in me. The other day, I had a wound of distortion of guilt come up. And it was, oh my God, here's this guilt that's coming up. And I've had issues with guilt. Most people do. I'm a mother, so definitely there. But didn't realize just how much I was still holding on to guilt. So it came up. It's like, oh my God, I wanted to run away because it felt awful. But I know better. I've been doing this for a few decades. I decided to, okay, let me have it. And I just decided to be with it. I felt it. I was present with it. It wasn't pretty. I wanted to get myself busy, but I just held it in my awareness. And because I held it in my awareness, it softened. It softened. It's like I allowed this awareness to be part of my consciousness. And by being conscious, I actually energetically was able to meet it. If does that make any sense? Because it's energy. And because I didn't run away from it, because I didn't try to fix it, because I didn't try to make any stories, because I just decided to be present with it, I literally met it face to face. And I had this realization, oh, okay, this guilt is still there. But that having the realization and just sitting with the feeling softened it. And literally a couple hours later, it was completely gone. I transformed, at least to some degree, the distortion of guilt. And guilt has been seeded in many people from the time we're born, especially if you subscribed to some form of a religion. Guilt is it's a fear-based factor, and it was placed there to keep people in line, essentially, right? So we will go into the whole conversation about guilt, but that was my experience. So what I'm saying in a long way is that this portal is amplifying these aspects of me. And because I'm able to meet it, because I'm able to feel it, because I'm not running away from it, in real time, I'm able to shift and transform it simply by not running away from it. So during this portal, if you have something like that coming up, meet it face to face. Whatever it may be, an old experience you haven't healed through, some past trauma that you identify with, whatever, you're heartbroken, whatever it is, if it happens to rise up, don't run away from it. Meet it, because just by meeting it, just by being present with it, you will begin to recalibrate your own frequency, because you're no longer resisting it. You're not pulling away from it. You're not running away from it. You're allowing it to be present in your body, and by giving it presence, it moves through you. So this is energy work. This is essentially energy work. Many people I work with are afraid to feel. This is all about feeling. Okay, awakening doesn't happen through the mind; it happens through the body. We feel with the body. So don't be afraid to feel. And if you're watching this or these types of channels, I can bet you money that you are a feeler, probably to the point where you don't want to feel because you feel so much. So yeah, this portal may amplify some of old feelings and some of old wounds, not because something bad is happening, but because these layers are coming up for reconfiguration. To reconfigure something is to reconfigure. On the other hand, if you believe and you are living the truth that you are part of Source, that too is going to be amplified. Okay, and I'll go through what it may mean actually as a 3D experience. But yes, so during this gateway, it's an opportunity for us to see what no longer serves us, and more than anything, it's a potential for us to see, become aware of our distortions. Because the moment we become aware of a distortion, we can heal it. It's a distortion. Think of your distortion as a coat you wear. Okay, it's you, not the coat. Your distortion is not you. But because you wear the coat, okay, you can always take it off and you can try on a new coat that's maybe, allows you to be more freer. So, but the first part is you have to be conscious of your distortion. If you're not conscious of your distortion, you're not going to be able to do anything about it. And if you identify with your distortion, well, then you will have the experience based on your distortions. If one of your distortion is you're not a worthy person, then you're going and you identify with that distortion. In other words, it's a coat you wear. Then you're going to embody that distortion. All your life experience will be filtered through those distortions of not being worthy. So, don't be afraid of seeing your own distortions. Don't look for them necessarily. They'll come up. Thank you. They're saying to me, if you really want an effective way to transform your distortions, ask yourself for permission to see your distortions. I, Joanna, give yourself permission to see my distortions. And just trust that the universe is going to show. It's going to show it to you. Like literally trust it. And something amazing happens, because when we give ourselves permission to see the things we haven't wanted to see, and sometimes for a really long time, we become more empowered. So, Joanna, what's so special about being empowered? Well, let's talk about it. What does it mean to be empowered? It's to be in your own power. To be empowered means to be in your own power, which means someone else, an authority, isn't in power over you. You are in your own authority. And when you are in your own authority, you don't give your power away. When you are in your own authority, you don't have thinking. You don't feel the need to give your power away. Why do we give our power away? Well, when we do something, it's because we get something back from whatever it is that we're doing. So oftentimes we give away our power because we want to stay safe, we want to stay loved, we want to stay accepted, we want to whatever needs that we're fulfilling. So to be an empowered person simply means is to be in your own power and not to give your power away to somebody else. First and foremost, you cannot give away your power because you're it. What you're doing is you are choosing to wield your power in such a way that gives you a certain outcome, but it may not be what your truth is. So if you have been living your life not according to your truth, but according to somebody else's truth, then you are effectively living life by somebody else's truth. Not yours, but somebody else's. So since it's your life, why would you want to live it by somebody else's truths, by somebody else's, beliefs? Live according to what your truth is. But here's the thing. A lot of people actually don't know what their truth is because they're saying, wait, for one, truth is often inconvenient for many reasons, but also we're just not consciously aware. And this 8-8 portal is literally helping us be more aware. And an aware person is a more empowered person. A more empowered person is less likely to be controlled by something or somebody else. When you're in your own sovereignty, you're in your own power. It doesn't mean that you don't follow systems and rules. It doesn't mean that, but you don't give your personal power away. And when that happens, it becomes our signature of how we live our life. So think about it this way. If every single human embodied their true power and had this awareness that they're capable of so much more than what they think and what they believe, we would be able to create better futures for ourselves. In fact, a person who is aware co-creates life with the universe in conscious ways. Most humans create life from an unconscious perspective. So if you are creating something for yourself unconsciously, and this something is not what you want, then you're not going to be able to create something you do want unless you change your programming, unless you change your conditioning, okay? So again, giving the example of an unworthy person, if one of your distortions is that I am unworthy, you will continue to create life based on the principle that you are unworthy, and the universe is always going to reflect back to you what you hold true about yourself. So if you hold that as your truth, your experience will mirror that back to you. That's how it works. Not because you're unworthy, but because you believe that you are unworthy. You cannot be unworthy. You are part of Source. Okay? Have you ever asked Source, hey, Source, prove yourself to me? No, it doesn't happen. So now we live in a 3D world. The rules are very different. We have ego and a whole bunch of different constraints. But from the highest perspective, the whole word idea of unworthiness, it doesn't even make any sense. Okay? Also, we are born into this world where love is unfortunately conditional. You have to pray to God and go to church 7 times a week. Otherwise, God is not going to accept you to his kingdom. I'm sorry to tell you, it's not a he, it's not a she, it's not an it. It cannot be confined. It cannot be understood by the human mind. Okay? Certainly, Source or God is not in power over you. It's not an authority over you. Source gave you authority over yourself. Okay? So if you continue to believe that you are unworthy, you are using your own authority to confirm the fact that you are unworthy. Is it true that you are unworthy? No, but it's what you believe. Okay, so certain belief system will come up for some of you, like they have for me, not because we haven't done any work, not because we're bad people, not because whatever. It's just another layer coming up. And we have layers upon layers upon layers of distortions. And they're not only our distortions, they're also distortions from our ancestors. So we're all carrying a whole bunch of ancestral distortions. And if you're watching something like this, then you have chosen as a soul to come into this life to express your light. And the more distortions we hold on to, the less we can express our true light and our true potential. Okay, so if you're watching here, you are on a path of, let's call it awakening, okay, because it is awakening from a dream. You are on a path of awakening because your soul has chosen to be here in order to seed more light or higher consciousness. Okay. So if you're here to seed higher consciousness, which you are, higher consciousness has to flow through you. In order for more of higher consciousness to flow through you, it has to flow through without your distortions. Otherwise, you'll be projecting your own distortions. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Okay. So, you're likely to see things clearly in terms of what your unmet needs are. For example, any hurt stories, distortions, all of these will be amplified. Here's the gift from this portal. It shows you what is no longer aligned with your essence. Okay? When the distortion comes up, it shows you what is no longer aligned with your essence. So what is your essence? Your essence is that you are part of Source. Your essence is pure. Everything else is an experience and distortion, but your essence is pure. Everyone's essence is pure. It's when you see a baby being born and you just go gaga because that being radiates purity. It's not conditioned. It doesn't have any beliefs. It has its basic instincts for survival, but it comes with no conditions. It's pure potential. So baby is the best as a representation of your divinity and of your purity. So your essence, your true essence is one like that of a brand newborn baby. Most people, not everybody, but most people, when they see a brand new baby, their heart just goes wrong. Or with a puppy, or any babies for that matter. And I've seen, this is a funny thing, but I've seen some pretty unattractive puppies. But even then, they were so cute. So that's essentially love in its very essence. That's you. That's you. That's me. That's everybody around. No, we don't always express our essence in its purity because we have a whole bunch of distortions that we are holding on to. So the gift of this portal is to see the distortions that are no longer aligned with your essence. Again, your essence is pure. It is part of Source. Are you Source itself? No, you are part of Source. Source lives within you. It cannot be any other way. It lives in the trees, in the sky, in the mouse, in the bug, in you, in the flower, in my pictures. It's everywhere. You cannot be separate from Source. If you identify as Source that's something outside of you, then you put a hierarchy on this something, on this authority. And this gateway, this portal is asking you, encouraging you to bring yourself back to your own authority. Again, I want to say these words. God is not your authority, consciousness, whatever you want to call it. But consciousness, Source, gave you authority over you. How do you use your authority? Do you fear your own authority? Do you fear authorities? Likely when you have an issue with authorities, you very likely have an issue with your own authority. I've had that for a very long time because I grew up in a very controlling environment. So I had massive issues with control, not being controlled. And I was never a controlling person, but anything that tried to control me, it's like my claws come out. It's because I've experienced the opposite. So where was I going with this? So if you have any authority issues, then you might want to look at your relationship with your own authority. Okay? If you're putting God on a pedestal, then what you are saying is that you are less than quote unquote God. You're not God, but God is in you, inside of you, it's everywhere. You're not separate from it, and it's not better than you. Source or God is an expression through you. Okay? So perhaps you were brought up with the idea that, you have to put God on a pedestal and you have to pray 7 days a week, otherwise you're going to hell. Well, you guys will get this. There is no hell. In fact, a few weeks ago, I said to Source, is heaven and hell? I said what I heard, and Source is funny. And what I heard was, you are in heaven, you just don't know it because you created your own hell. And it wasn't a personal message for me creating my own hell, but the message for humanity. In other words, do you want heaven? Great. Stop creating your own hell. Now, the religious beliefs will have a different kind of ideas about it. That's perfectly fine. From my experience with Source and my own communication with Source, which doesn't happen very often in an audible way, but it has happened a few times, there is no hell. Most of near-death experiencers will tell you that when they cross to the other side, the whole idea of hell just collapses because it is part of the human understanding. So as a human, we understand that there is heaven and hell, but beyond our humanness, there's no hell. So hell can also be talked about in terms of our own inner hell, our own conflict. Most humans are conflicted. It's just part of our human story, I believe. But these conflicts create a lot of pressure. They create a lot of dissonance within ourselves. The more we are at conflict with ourselves, the more in dissonance we live, which means we are not living from a space of alignment. We live from a space of misalignment. And when we live from a space of misalignment, things don't feel good. I'm sure you've had a moment once or twice in your life where you thought, this just doesn't feel right. It's because you were feeling there was a misalignment. Okay. Now, the problem with that is that so many people are so used to living in their disalignment or misalignment, they don't even recognize that it is misaligned. Because if they accepted it for so long, it just became part of who they are. So this portal is encouraging us to look at the inner wars we have within ourselves, the inner conflict, the distortions. And it's essentially encouraging us to love ourselves, including our distortions. Well, Joanna, you're saying on one hand you want to transform distortion, but then you're saying you want to love your distortion. I don't want to love your distortion. Actually, it's a part of you that wants to be loved by you. Here's what happens when you start loving your distortions. It shifts energetically. It shifts energetically. When you start loving a part of you that you have denied or vilified, when you start loving that part of you, you bring yourself back home. You become more aligned with your true self. This is what shadow work is. This is essentially what I do. Okay. Again, I don't do anything. I don't tell you anything. I don't teach you anything. All I'm sharing with you is what is already true within you. It's in your cells. It's in your DNA. So if it resonates with you, then maybe something has just opened up. If it doesn't resonate with you, absolutely fine. You wouldn't be listening to this if it had no resonance for some reason. But anyway, going back to what you might be experiencing during this portal, during this gateway. Number one, you realize you're not confused anymore. Yes. Thank you. No more confusion. You might find, instead of analyzing everything, you just know. You just feel it in your body. It's just, I know. Clarity. All of a sudden you have this clarity. There is no panic in the clarity, just peace. And what I'm hearing is that this is it's almost like there's a moment here where there's a potential for existential crisis. What does that mean? That you begin to question your life, and you begin to question what is real and what is not real. And that can create a little bit of confusion. But what I got here is that this is not about confusion. This is actually about more clarity. So if you have been feeling confused for a long time and you're connected to this type of transmission, then you are very likely going to feel a lot less confused, if not absolutely clear. Let's give you an example. Let's say you've been going to your job 9 to 5, you like your job, and then all of a sudden it's like one day you wake up one morning and you say, that's it, I'm done. It's like something just, boom, clear, something happened. And this kind of knowing, it's embodied. It's not in your head. It's in your body. And because it's so embodied, it represents literally an end of a cycle and an opening of a new cycle. Because every time we end a cycle, a new cycle opens. So many of you will be at this threshold, or you probably are already at this threshold. You might find yourself saying, I actually do know what I want. This is the direction, I can feel it. So if you've been sitting on a choice or a decision for a long time and you are not really clear on what to do or how to go about it, this is likely a period of time around the gateway where you will become super clear. Sometime to the point where you realize that your clarity now means you have to make a big change. And that can be scary. Change is scary for most people. Why? Because more often than not, we associate change with something bad. Think about it this way. If you knew change would create something positive and there was no any other way, we would be a lot less afraid of change. Okay? Change also represents discomfort. Humans like their comfort, even if it's not really working unless it's comfortable. This is not going to be this is not the time for that. This is time for radical truth and honesty. So if you find yourself in a situation where you're like, okay, I know this is it, I can't do this anymore, then acknowledge that's the case. And then, ask yourself, what am I willing to do about it? Because what you're doing then is the question, what am I willing to do about it? You are now using your power to consciously create. You become a conscious creator. So you can stay in a situation even though you know it's not for you, and you'll just keep on having the same experience. Absolutely fine. There is no judgment. But if you're desiring a deeper experience, a different experience, then you have to let go of what you're holding on to. And that sometimes can be tough. Because it could mean potentially letting go of friendships, letting go of relationships, letting go of jobs, letting go of limitations. And we identify with our limitations. Letting go of so many things that used to confine us. But that's when we begin to tap into our potential. So this is what you might be experiencing around this time. Number 2, you feel an old version of yourself quietly dissolving. And it doesn't come with drama. So the experience I gave you earlier about having this guilt, and I went on a run and I was just holding it the whole time. And when I felt it dissolve, I actually said to my team, I said, that's it? No drama? Like, don't I have to and they're like, you just transformed it by being conscious of it, holding it in your presence, not wallowing it, not judging it, not having stories around it, just being present with that frequency. It moved through me, and at the end of the day, I felt much lighter. Here's the funny thing. Hours later, I received a comment on one of my older YouTube videos, and the person basically said, Jesus, Lord Christ is the only savior. You are being deceived. You're talking to Lucifer. You are deceiving people. And it was obvious that it was very, very religious based, and I felt it right away. And it went, and my body just contracted. And then I had a reminder, Joanna, this is old guilt. This is old guilt. And we talked about how guilt is tied to religion. So it's like the universe gave me an opportunity to see for myself where once I used to would feel guilty and hold on to it for a long time. It stung me for a moment because I pride myself in constantly being vigilant of my shadows, because it's what I do. It's what I do for work. It's words. I'm constantly vigilant to be. I'm not perfect by any stretch. I'm still human, very screwed up. But I hold myself such pride around seeing my shadows that when someone basically accuses me of purposely deceiving people, it's very hurtful to my heart, because I'm not here to deceive. I'm here to help people remind them who they are. I don't tell you my truth. I share with you my experience, and hopefully that brings you closer to realizing your own truth. So, long story short, the guilt thing came up, and it's like, okay, that's an old story. And within 10 minutes, it was released. So, no drama, no highs and lows. It was a fairly I don't want to say a comfortable experience, but it was an experience that I went through for a few hours, and I released a big chunk of my guilt. So, what you might experience, things that may come up, may not feel very dramatic at all. They may just come up as a layer, and there's the frequency coming up to the surface in order to be acknowledged. And just by transmuting it through your body, allowing yourself to be present with it, you literally shift the frequency in your body. Your entire body's frequency begins to shift. You're not seeking validation the same way you used to. Again, the same example. In the past, I used to very much rely on other people's acceptance of the work that I was doing, because for most of my life, I was invalidated. So naturally, there was a tendency to feel to be validated by outside. But the more I relied on that, the more I was attached to what other people say, both good and bad. And of course, the good feels great, the bad feels terrible. And I've never had many of those, actually very, very few. I'm surprised. But, you can have 1,000 people who say that, wow, their experience is amazing. And you have one person that says some nasty comment and it stings. Isn't that weird? Right? So long story short, you will not be seeking validation in the same way. And that's very freeing. That's very liberating, because what it does, it allows you to just truly relax into yourself, truly and fully, which means you're not on guard, you're not stressed. I like that. You soften where you used to guard. So for example, when something triggers you, instead of reacting, you breathe, you take a moment, you pause, you maybe ask yourself the question, okay, what's being triggered in me? And you don't clamp down, but you just allow that energy to move through you. So you are less likely to be reactive to something that used to trigger you, but you will notice the trigger and you will realize, okay, I'm being triggered, but I know I don't need to react anymore. When that happens, you become automatically a much conscious person. And what it really means is you've just taken your power back. You've just taken your power back. By not reacting, you've just taken your power back. Number 4. You reconnect with something you forgot or loved. A passion, a memory, a song from childhood, a past life memory, a soul nudge. So you might start all of a sudden feeling more creative. Like there's something creative you want to do. And you may not even know where it's coming from, but you just feel the desire to create, to have some kind of a different experience. And even when I'm doing the movements I'm making with my hands, it's very soft, it's very flowy, it's not rigid. So there will be a part of you, the softer, dare I say, divine feminine part of you, that wants to express itself in whatever way, shape, or fashion it happens for you. So if you all of a sudden have a need to start a painting class or start a dance class or, I don't know, paint your walls or, I don't know, create a book or create a program. Give yourself permission to do it and just see what happens, because that's a new flow of energy that wants to move through you. You say no, and it feels right. You're no longer people please. You're not explaining your boundaries. This is a huge one, and it has been a huge one for me because I used to be an amazing people pleaser. And the reason why I did that is because I needed to control my environment so that I would stay safe. So my need to please came purely from the space of not having been safe in my world when I was growing up. So I would do everything possible in my power to make sure other people wouldn't be upset, because the moment they were upset, I was not being safe. Okay, so if you have had a pleasing personality, likely chances are you would have said yes, 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 yeah, no problem. But inside it was like, oh, I really don't want to do it. So this is, you'll start to feel more comfortable saying no. If you really want to say no, say no. If you want to say yes, say yes. I want to put it in a different way. You're much more comfortable with living your truth. You're much more comfortable with living your truth. And when something doesn't resonate with you, you honor that, and then you deal with it accordingly. Okay? That's very powerful, because the more we come, here's the thing. Thank you. The more we honor our truth, the more we are coming home to ourselves. The more we honor our truth, the more we are coming home to ourselves. So we are being much more aligned with source frequency. Okay. What else? I think that was it. I think there was another one here. Yes. So if you're having any of these experiences transpiring in your life, you're not broken. You are safe. Of course, unless you are not safe, but you're not broken. You're safe. And just allow whatever wants to come through you as the vehicle that you are, the vehicle for source. And just be present, be more present with your experience. It's not always easy, because the experience that I was having of feeling a lot of guilt, I didn't want to be present with it at all. But presence is what allows us to, actually, what does presence do? I'm asking the question, what does presence do for us? It aligns you with the truth of who you really are. Being present with yourselves aligns you with the truth of who you really are. Because when you are present, you are in the flow. And you are conscious of energy moving through you. And that consciousness allows you to be a much more powerful conscious creator. And remember, I talked at the very beginning that most humans create unconsciously. It's not a fault of theirs. I still create unconsciously to some degree because it's layers. But for the most part, I do my best to always stay conscious. It's not always easy. When I get triggered, I have to bring myself back to my body. But the more conscious I am, the less power I give away, which means the more in tune I am with myself, and the more in tune I am with my source frequency. Doesn't mean I'm God, but it means I am of it, source, whatever name you want to give it. And the message is basically the same to you. I'm saying this about me, but the message is essentially for you. So if I was to wrap it all up in a short way, what does this 8-8 portal signify? Well, it's an amplifier of truth. It'll help you see things you've seen before clearer, or it'll help you see things that are distortions. And that's an invitation for you to realize that, yes, you may have a distortion, but the distortion is not inherently you. As long as you identify with your distortion, it will become part of your experience. But the moment you realize you have a distortion, you can shift that distortion. And there's various ways of doing it. Again, if you need help with that, I'm more than happy to help you. That information is down below. But bottom line is this gateway is for us to help us see ourselves more clearly with less distortions, to help us see ourselves for the truth that we really are, which is expression of consciousness itself. Some call it God. It's to help us be more at peace with ourselves and also more in our own true power. And it also helps us to realize that we are our own authority. Yes, I know there's authorities in the 3D world, I get it. But when it comes to making life choices and decisions, we are our own authority. If we create our life based on somebody else's authority, then we are essentially giving our authority away. There's nothing wrong with that. There's no judgment, but we are not creating life the way we want. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Also, being empowered is essentially a level of freedom. I have never met a client who says, Joanna, I want to feel less free, please. No, it doesn't happen. We are here to experience our potential. And if we are limited in boxes, we're not going to be able to experience more of our potential. So this gateway is amplifying our inherent ability to express our potential. And the less distortions we are holding on to and the less distortions we identify with, the more we are able to express our potential to the fullest extent. And this sort of awareness does not come overnight. In my understanding, is this awareness comes in many lifetimes, through many lifetimes. Some are born, especially the younger kids, some are born with awareness very close to the surface. Someone like me, the awareness was somewhere around my heart. And some people's awareness are even way, way down. There's not wrong or right. It's just everyone, it has its own unique expression of source. Everyone is on their own journey. But if you're watching this type of information, you are absolutely aware of what I'm saying to you. And there's probably a recognition when you're like, yep, that makes sense. Yep. Because again, remember, my job as Joanna is to not tell you my truth. It's to not tell you what the truth is. It's to not tell you what to believe. In fact, my job is to help you question your beliefs. My job is just to mirror back what is already inside of you. And if it resonates, great. If it doesn't resonate, no problem. I'm not an expert. I'm not a guru. I'm not an all-knowing. No, I'm none of those people. I am just a vehicle who has cleared enough distortions whereby source frequency can flow through me in the least obstructed way possible. Again, not because I'm better. No, I'm just screwed up as everybody else. But I've cleared enough of my distortion. And this is likely you too. And when we don't identify with our distortions anymore, we begin to identify with our wholeness. Think about it for a moment. If you woke up tomorrow and you knew, and it wasn't a conscious, a logical knowing, it wasn't a thinking knowing, it was the embodied knowing that you are whole. Can you just, it's even hard for me to imagine that because we are so used to being programmed that we are not this, we are not that, we're not capable. It's massive. But anyway, so my wish for you is for you to remember your own power. Not because I tell you that you are powerful, but because I wish for you to see it inside of you already. And I don't know, it brings me the greatest joy when I see someone opening up to their greatness. It's just, I don't even know how to explain it. It's a little bit of an aphrodisiac for me. But anyway, I hope this was helpful. Please let me know in comments if any of this resonated with you or what didn't resonate with you. It's totally fine. The only thing I would ask is just please be respectful. I respect everybody's opinions and everybody's points of view. But being vilified for doing this work I'm not really interested. So, but anyway, thank you so much for being here. I wish you an amazing 8/8 portal, and I look forward to seeing you. Take care.